A soldier takes an iron rod straight through his skull. It punches in under his cheek, tears up through the front of his brain, and blasts out the top of his head, landing dozens of feet away. Everyone standing there is certain of one thing: this man is already dead. Except he isn't. He sits up, he speaks. Within minutes he's talking to the people around him like nothing happened. He'll go on to live for years with a hole blown clean through his mind. But the man who walks away is not the same man who fell. His memory holds, his body works, yet something in his very soul has quietly changed forever. How is any of that even possible? That's exactly what we're here to dig into. Here's the thing that should terrify you about your own head. It's a lump of soft tissue weighing about 1.5 kilograms, less than the laptop you're probably holding, and yet it devours nearly a fifth of all the energy your body makes. Every thought you've ever had, every face you love, every nightmare that jolts you awake, all of it is cooked up in there. And after thousands of years of poking at it, we still barely understand a thing. We've charted the bottom of the ocean. We've thrown machines past the edge of our solar system, but what's really going on 3 centimeters behind your eyes remains one of the last true mysteries left. Tonight we go deep into that organ. The rules are simple. Up at the top we've got the strange but explainable, and with every step down it gets darker, colder, and far more disturbing. Trust me, what's waiting at the very bottom is going to crawl under your skin and stay there. Take a breath. We're going under. Let's kick things off at the very top of the iceberg with something you can test on yourself right this second. Picture a short clip. A handful of people in white and black shirts are tossing a basketball back and forth, and your one job is to count how many times the white team passes it. Easy. You lock in, you focus, you track every single throw without blinking. Simple, right? But here's what you almost certainly missed. Right in the middle of that clip, a person in a full gorilla costume casually strolls into the center of the screen. And this gorilla doesn't just slip past in a blur. It plants itself dead center, turns to face the camera, pounds its chest like King Kong, and then strolls off the other side, taking its sweet time. Now for the part that genuinely rattles people. When scientists ran this exact test, roughly half of everyone watching swore there was no gorilla. None at all. They stared straight through it, and their brains simply wiped it out of existence. Show them the tape a second time, and a few of them will actually accuse you of switching the video on them. So what's really happening here? It's a glitch with a name: inattentional blindness. The instant your attention clamps onto one thing, your brain quietly tosses out everything it has decided doesn't matter. A giant, chest-beating gorilla, very much included. And that's the uncomfortable truth about those eyes of yours. You're dead certain you see the world exactly as it is, a clean and honest live feed. You don't. Your brain hands you a stripped-down, heavily edited version, keeping only the scraps it thinks you need, and quietly deleting the rest before you ever catch on. But if your mind can make a gorilla vanish right in front of you, imagine what it can pull off when there's barely any brain left to work with. Because next up is a man who, by every rule we know, should not have been able to think a single thought. A man walks into a doctor's office with the most boring complaint imaginable. His left leg feels a little weak. That's it. No pain, no drama, nothing that screams emergency. The doctors decide to scan his head just to be safe, and when the image loads onto the screen, the room goes silent, because most of his brain is simply gone. This was France back in 2007. The patient was a man of 44, living a completely ordinary life. But on that scan, where there should have been a thick, dense mass of brain packed tight inside the skull, there was mostly dark, empty fluid. Just a thin sliver of brain tissue smeared around the edges, like the last bit of scraping left in a jar. By everything we understand about biology, a man with a scan like that shouldn't be standing. He shouldn't be talking. He arguably shouldn't even be awake. Any doctor looking at that picture cold would bet they were about to meet someone in a deeply damaged state. And yet, this man held down a steady government job. He was married. He was raising 2 children. He drove, he worked, he paid his taxes, living a life so normal it was almost dull, with no clue that his head was running on almost nothing. So how? The answer is a condition that crept up on him since childhood. Fluid had been building painfully slowly over decades, pressing his brain thinner and thinner against the walls of his skull, year after year. But because it happened so gradually, his brain had time to adapt. It kept shifting its most vital jobs onto whatever tissue survived, rewiring itself on the fly. A sudden blow would have killed him instantly. This slow squeeze, it simply learned to live with. And that tells you something unsettling about the thing in your own skull. It is far tougher and far sneakier than you ever imagined, willing to bend the rules just to keep you running. But bending the rules to survive is the friendly side of your brain. Because next, we look at what this same organ does to you while you sleep, when you're helpless and it takes the wheel. Look at a ticking clock. For the very first instant, that second hand seems to hang there, frozen, stuck a beat too long. Your clock isn't broken, you are. Your brain just quietly forged a little slice of time for you, and you didn't notice a thing. As your eyes darted over to the clock, they went briefly blind. The world smeared into a useless blur while they moved. And your brain, not wanting you to see that ugly smear, simply cut it out. Then it patched the gap by stretching whatever you landed on next. You're living on a slight delay, and your brain fakes the edit so smoothly you never suspect a thing. But that's the polite version. Things get far stranger when you take time away from the brain completely. And one man did exactly that to himself. An explorer named Michel Siffre lowered himself deep into a cave and stayed there, alone, for months on end. No clocks, no sunlight. Not a single clue whether it was morning or the middle of the night. Total isolation from time itself. And his internal clock started to unravel. He'd feel like maybe 2 hours had slipped by, when in reality, 5 had passed. Days folded into each other and lost all meaning. By the time he finally climbed back into the light, he was off by whole weeks. His brain was dead certain the experiment was barely halfway through, while the finish line had come and gone long ago. And here's the part that sits uneasily. There is no built-in clock ticking away inside your skull. Your sense of time is something your brain stitches together, moment by moment, out of the clues around you. Daylight, hunger, exhaustion, the hands on a wall. Strip those away, and time doesn't slow down. It falls apart completely. It was never solid to begin with, just a story your brain tells you, spun however it likes. Alright, so your brain lies to you about time, but what if I told you it can turn one of your own hands against you, and actually try to choke you with it? Imagine waking up one morning, and your own left hand no longer answers to you. You reach out with your right to button your shirt, and the left calmly trails behind, popping every button back open. You pour yourself a coffee, and that same hand smacks the cup clean out of your grip. And then, one quiet evening, it drifts upward on its own and closes around your throat. This isn't a horror movie, it's a real documented condition, and doctors call it alien hand syndrome. Some people nicknamed it the Dr. Strangelove syndrome, after the movie character whose arm had a will of its own. For the people living with it, the hand genuinely seems possessed. It grabs things nobody wanted, wanders where it shouldn't, and shoves back against every single command. They end up pinning their own rebellious hand down with the healthy one, staring at a piece of their own body that has somehow become a stranger. So where does this nightmare come from? Your brain is split into 2 halves, joined by a bridge of nerve fibers in the middle. Damage that bridge, through injury or surgery, and the 2 sides stop fully talking to each other. One half starts barking orders at the hand in secret, never once checking with the side where your sense of I actually lives. The hand carries out a command you never knowingly gave. But here's the part that truly crawls under your skin. When you catch the brain in the act, it does not admit it has lost control. It lies. The talking half instantly cooks up a smooth, confident excuse. Oh, I reached over because I wanted to fix my collar. It has no clue what the real reason was, so it simply invents one on the spot, and it believes its own story completely. Sit with what that means. Your brain would rather fabricate a convincing lie than confess that not everything inside you actually obeys you. And you swallow that lie without blinking. But if your mind can unlock secret orders you never gave, it can just as easily unlock something else entirely. Next up, a man whose brain handed him a sense that borders on a real-life superpower. A man rides a bicycle through busy streets, dodging cars and sensing corners. The twist? He's completely blind. Daniel Kish lost both eyes to cancer as a small child, but his brain found another way. He clicks his tongue and listens to the echo bounce back. A wall answers one way, an open door another, a car nothing like a bush. From those echoes he builds a full map of the world, like a bat hunting in the dark. Stranger still is blind sight. Picture someone whose eyes work fine, but the brain region that builds vision is damaged. They swear they see only black. Yet roll a ball across their path and they step right over it. Ask them to point and they nail it, swearing they only guessed. Their eyes still catch light and fire signals inward. Those signals skip the spot where conscious sight is born. The body sees, the person never knows. But next we go darker. A tiny creature is about to slip into the brain and seize the controls. A mouse is born terrified of one smell, a cat. It's hardwired, a survival instinct millions of years old. So why would a mouse calmly walk straight toward that scent, unafraid, into the jaws of death? Because something has crawled into its brain and taken the wheel. The puppeteer is a parasite called toxoplasma. It has one obsession, getting inside a cat, the only place it can breed. And its plan is coldly brilliant. It infects the mouse, travels to the brain, and quietly erases that lifelong fear. Sometimes the cat's smell even turns attractive. The mouse serves itself up as dinner, and the parasite completes its cycle. Now the uncomfortable part. A huge share of humans carry this same parasite, most without a clue. Does it steer us too? Scientists stay careful, but studies tie it to shifts in behavior and a stronger pull toward risk. But a parasite needs a way in. What happens when your own brain locks the door, trapping you awake and frozen while a figure watches from the corner? You open your eyes in the dark and realize you can't move a single muscle. Your body is stone. You try to scream, but nothing comes. Then you see it, a dark figure in the corner, drifting toward your bed. Welcome to sleep paralysis. Most people taste it once. The cause is in how you sleep. In deep dreaming, the brain switches off your muscles. It's protection. Without it, you'd leap up and act out your dreams. But sometimes the timing slips. Your mind wakes before your body does, and you're trapped between two worlds. Aware, but your body stays off. Here's the eerie part. The half-dreaming brain keeps leaking dream into the room, so strangers worldwide report the same things. A crushing weight on the chest, breathing beside them, a shadowy man in a hat at the foot of the bed, watching. Same visitor, different countries, and no one can explain him. But scaring yourself awake is nothing next to what your brain saves for last. Next, the final 30 seconds before death, caught on a machine. What will you see in the last second of your life? For centuries it belonged to priests and philosophers. Then science caught it by accident. It was 2022. A man of 87 lay in a hospital, wired to a brain monitor for epilepsy. Then his heart stopped mid-recording. Nobody planned it, but the machine caught what no one ever had, a living human brain at the moment of death. Here's what it showed. As his heart stopped, the brain didn't fade like a dying bulb. It flared up. It caught a surge of the waves tied to memory, dreaming and replaying the past. In that final instant, the brain seems to hit play. That famous life flashing before your eyes, not a cliché, but real activity on a monitor. Dying, a person may relive their dearest moments one last time. Still, it's the only case on record. Just one. Too soon for big claims, but the chills are real. But if the brain does strange things at death, we've done stranger to it while alive. Next, we drill into the skull. A clean, round hole drilled through a human skull. We find them thousands of years old, and these aren't wounds. They're surgery, human on human, in the Stone Age, before anesthesia. It's called trepanation, the oldest surgery we know. People bored into a living head with a stone blade to release the spirits blamed for madness. Here's the staggering part. Those holes often show bone grown back and sealed. The person didn't die on the table. They lived for years after being cut open with raw stone, with no idea of infection. And it didn't stay in the past. Even in the 20th century, some drilled their own skulls, certain it would sharpen the mind. That's the bottom of our iceberg. 1.5 kilograms. More mystery than answer. If you made it this deep, subscribe so you don't miss the next dive, because what waits below is stranger still. And tell me in the comments, ever felt a glitch in your own mind you couldn't explain? I read them all, and the eeriest make the next episode.